Hey everyone, this is PMO Joe, and we are here with another Project Management Minute. We just wrapped up Project Management Office Hours on Phoenix Business RadioX, and I am here with Evalyne Cambron. Hello, Evalyne.
Hi.
So, what is your nickname?
Ev.
Okay,
Yes.
That's an easy one.
It's very simple.
How about your school mascot?
I actually went to Cortez High School here in Phoenix, and our mascot was the Colt.
All right, go Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Who has been your most influential mentor?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so driving here, I was thinking about that question because I've had so many, right? I mean, that's extremely important to me. And if you listen to the radio show, we talk pretty extensively about that. But, you know, the person that kept coming to mind was a leader that I had at American Express. Her name is Paula Rust, and you know, I worked, it's when I was a portfolio manager over $30 million in technology projects and a lot of, folks. And she really was my biggest supporter. So anything I wanted to do, I could talk to her about it, and she would give me best practices and tips because, she had the experience. And so I was extremely successful in that role, which then catapulted me further in my career because the time she took to mentor me as a leader. And so for me, that's what I do for my employees as a leader. I want to make things better and help them be more successful. So
shout out to Paula Rust.
Shout out to Paula Rust.
What is your favorite project you've ever worked on?
Oh my goodness, I have several favorite projects. Okay, so this one is very near and dear to my heart. I went from one part of Amex to another, which I went from the corporate payment side to the travel side right before they separated. And I was given a marine and offshore project that I knew nothing about. So when you think about the oil rigs that are out in the middle of the ocean, right? I mean, we don't think about those, They're out there. When you think about those big shipping, vessels, Maersk is one of them, right? If you saw the movie about, the captain.
Movie,
yeah. Mm-hmm. That's something else. That's another part of our world, and it's called marine and offshore. Think about, how do those people get around? How do they get out to those oil rigs? How do they how's the transportation? So for American Express travel, they do corporate travel, business travel, not this specialty travel. And they wanted to be able to provide services to their clients like Maersk, right? And then be able to take on some additional clients, right? So for some more revenue for the company. But they didn't have a platform that would work for this type of specialty travel, right? So what I did was I, wanted to take a look at who I'm going to have build it, because it needed to be custom. So I was looking at different companies, and I selected a company out of Nice, France. And then began the process of having this new platform built. It was actually going to be released in several countries. So my day would start with Switzerland and Paris, 5 in the morning, and then I'd have my United States and Canada calls during the day. I would be on the phone with Sydney and Singapore in the evening, and India at night. So for 10 months straight, I worked quite a bit of hours.
That sounds like a pretty impressive project.
It was very impressive, and I knew nothing about marine and offshore, so I had to learn. I had to learn everything about this, industry that I didn't know anything about. But I thought it was interesting, right?
Well, that's why I love project management, because we get to learn about so many things that we normally wouldn't have.
We get to learn about them, and I will tell you why this meant so much to me. Is I was given a year, I completed it in 10 months, and the call that I had to congratulate everyone, people joined from all over the world.
That's awesome.
When I hung up the phone that day, I said, you know what? I just did the greatest thing. I just got to be a part of something so incredible, right? And I met some wonderful people, and I was able to work with some, great teams and companies. And, this is something that was going to make a difference in, the company's, bottom line. And to watch it, to be in charge of it, first of all, and to, have it be deployed, that feeling I'll never forget. I mean, every deployment for me is exciting. I mean, I get excited. I love when our developers deploy code and we're live. I mean, that's just such a cool moment for me. But this one, it's my favorite. So
cool.
Yeah.
Do you prefer Agile or Waterfall?
Oh gosh, okay. So with my career, I started with waterfall, right? That's what I used, and if you hear the method 1 and what that means, right? That's how I ran my projects. I was fortunate enough that when I was a portfolio manager, when Agile was becoming new to American Express, we hired a coach, and my team was the first team to run an Agile project. So that one of the teams I was responsible for. So to me, I thought, how cool, right? How neat is this? I am on the fence on both of them. I think there are such benefits to Agile. And the reason being is because you're delivering little pieces, right? And so your customer, your client, whoever it is, whether it's internal or external, they're getting to kind of be a part of that and see how things are happening. When you're in a waterfall environment, a lot of times you're going to go through all of your phases and you may get to the end and the business say, oh, we need to add this, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if you're in an Agile environment, it's not too hard to add. Sure. Right? You can make those changes that need to be made and not have an impact to your timeline, because what would happen in a waterfall, when you're using that is, if they are adamant about adding something, guess what? It could cause a problem, right?
Absolutely.
You could miss a deadline. It can cause more financial issues. So for me, I like Agile because I love how there's different sprints to get things accomplished, and I love how you're instead of a year or 2 of a project,
more short term.
It's more short term. It's so great, and I think, and if you find problems in your testing, right, it's much easier to fix because you can have another sprint. Right? You can go ahead and fix something quickly. So,
final question: are you a member of PMI and the local Phoenix chapter?
I'm not, actually, which is interesting. So I do not have my PMI certification. When I was at Amex, I went to my leader at the time and said I'd like to get my certification, and he at the time said, well, you don't need it. We're kind of grooming you to be a director. You're more of leadership. You've been doing this for so many years. Don't waste your time. And he didn't support it, so I never got it. And so that's kind of something that I've thought about over the past. It's like, should I have gotten this? Do I now, after all these years, go get it? It hasn't affected me. However, I do recommend folks who are especially new into being a project manager, do it. Right? When you get that PMI certification, because it is something else that you can put on your resume, right? I don't have that, and I always hope it doesn't hinder me from getting a position. But for others out there, I highly recommend it.
Well, thank you, Evalyne. I appreciate it. This is PMO Joe, and that has been another Project Management Minute.